My name is Jordan Davis. I go by J.O. Some people call me ATL. It's kind of how we figure out how long you know me. And I come from Atlanta, Georgia, South Atlanta, Georgia, Riverdale to be exact. I was born there, but I was raised here in Richmond, Virginia. So I came to Richmond at about 17 and a half years old. I'm 36 years old now, so I've been here longer than I was in Atlanta. So I consider Richmond, Virginia home. To me, what Richmond means to me is, life. And what I mean by life is that, this is where you figure out exactly who you're gonna be in the rest of the world when you leave the 804. So, a gritty place, a loving place, like my brother said, but a place where, you get to see both sides of the railroad tracks. And what I mean by that is, based on what side that you decide to go on, you're gonna get exactly what you're looking for. If you wanna be somebody that's positive, inspiring, motivational, you have that opportunity. And you have the opportunity based on being able to look on the other side of the tracks and seeing what those opportunities look like when they're not taken advantage of. Man, I started the business when I was a kid, so the biggest difference is I think that it's more initiative driven now. I think of course the name of my brand is S.I.C.K Clothing. So that brand is an acronym that stands for socially influential cool kids. So I always had an initiative in mind, but that initiative was still focused on making money at that point in time. And now it's more so about being in the community, giving back to the community, and being something of what I guess what you can call a figurehead or a leader within the community to be an example for the youth coming up. People with better financial situations than the masses come in and, be able to purchase things, communities, just space around the city, and transform it to whatever they see formidable or profitable in their mind. So we've seen a lot of people be, in situations where they have to move and do certain things, but, not to speak on that as if it's always a negative thing, but we definitely get to see where people in the last 10 years, I've seen growth. I've seen Richmond be able to get some spotlight for the things that we call common here, which is art. I think we're also known for the food experience here. One thing that I talk about is like coming from a major city like Atlanta, Georgia, it's a metropolis, it's a major city. So Atlanta has its own identity. And one thing that I realized about Virginia, when I always tell people, I'm like, the only way I can explain Richmond is this. When I think of Virginia as a whole, I think of the Tidewater as like up north, like New York. They grew up with Wu-Tang and, some other things. You get a lot of New York artists talking about how their first travels down south was Virginia Beach. And then when I think about Richmond, I often think about New Orleans or, somewhere that's pretty much home-rooted in kind of the struggle of whatever the past was for those individuals that had, was colored individuals in that city. So to me, New Orleans is like the closest thing that I can tell somebody that is relatable. I think about everything Southern in Richmond, the spirit of the Confederate time span of when that was going on is still here. And I don't think it really exists around the rest of the state, but in Richmond it does. The rebirth of Richmond for me would look like teen summits, speaking to the youth through the community leaders that they respect and appreciate. It's hard to relate to certain people, and then it's easy to relate to other people. So I think when it comes down to like our business that we own, the top floor, the reason why we have that connection with the youth is because we're relatable. We're gonna come into these environments and situations and make it feel as homely as possible because we come from these communities that we really need to reach. And I think a part of what the rebirth of Richmond should be, talking to the community, talking to the youth, and letting them know that they're not alone and we're here to build together. We all are on the same level and nobody is above anybody. Coming together is how we build the city up. We do have a flagship store for my brand and three other brands that we also have, which is Swag Apparel and Paid in Full, and of course mine is Six Society, and we have the top floor. But the top floor is our flagship store and location. And we do everything out of there. Outside of that, of course, we can be contacted online. Instagram is our tool that we use the most just because of where we are in the world right now, and our tag on Instagram is _VA. But bigger than that, we pride ourselves on being in the community. So we're not the people that you're not gonna see You know, from my brother Brian, you might see him, you know, at a club on the weekend. You know what I'm saying? You might have seen me back in the day, but not anymore. Or my brother Swag being down in the Petersburg area, giving back philanthropically, you know, in a way through what he does down that way. And you know, we got plenty of ways to be connected and reach. Online is always the easiest. Of course, if you see us, we're not going to turn down any opportunities. We got to figure out how we can make it work for both sides.